Welcome to this week's edition of EBC Sports International. I am Aljamain Santos, broadcasting from Las Vegas, Nevada. With me today on our program, we have our EBC correspondents from across North America who will discuss topics from the UFC to the NBA. As everyone is aware of the COVID-19 effects on sports, that doesn't mean that sports behind the scenes have stopped. Various sports continue to seek for answers to allow their athletes to do what they do best. Before we get into the discussion, let's meet our correspondents and see what they are doing during this time to get their sports fix. In Seattle, Washington, we have Michael Hudson.
How you doing, Alman? How you doing, everybody? Blessed, humbled, and happy to be here tonight. When I work on my fix right now, I do walking, and more walking as long as I'm getting my 10,000 steps in.
Awesome. What's up, Mike? In Washington, D.C., we have Ken Cruz. What's up, Ken?
How's it going, Alman? So I'm very happy to be here, especially since this is the first show of its kind for EBC Sports. As far as getting my sports fix, goodness, it's really hard right now. I'm usually in a couple of leagues for basketball, volleyball, open gyms all day, every day, right? And so right now I'm watching a lot of YouTube videos on open gyms and leagues of people that have filmed their open leagues from back before all of this happened. And also watching EBC Sports on YouTube.
Awesome. Thanks for joining us, Ken. In Canada, we have Zarita May Sese in Toronto, Ontario. What's going on, Zarita?
Hi, guys. Thanks for having me. For my sports fix, I'm living through the Toronto glory days. I know it's limited. I know, I've heard it. But for sure, I'm reliving the World Series. We're reliving the Toronto Championship run. And that's as far as my physical activity goes.
Thanks for joining us, Zarita. And Jolty Horvath in Vancouver, BC, Canada. What's going on, Jolty?
Hey, guys. Happy to be here. As far as my sports fix, I'm watching a lot of Football Life, getting to know a lot of the older players before my time in the NFL, how they grew up, and just excited to be here.
Awesome. So we'll go ahead and go right into one of our first topics. In most recent news from the UFC, President Dana White previously proposed that the UFC will be operating from a remote island, and since then proposed tribal land in California, but soon after denied by the governor. Is the UFC onto something that the rest of the sports world could look into? I mean, looking into remote areas where there's a low population, that could be something that the NBA, the NFL, and other sports leagues could look into. What do you guys think about that?
Well, my thing is that once I first read this, it took me back to one of my favorite movies growing up, which is Mortal Kombat, right? Where they get all these fighters to go into a private island and fight to the death. However, I know UFC, they won't be doing that. They'll be fighting for money. My main thing is that if I was a fighter, and I would ask for a couple guarantees. One, guaranteed to be paid, and two, guaranteed that from the moment that I'm picked up by whatever limo and then taken to the airport, to an airplane, and then to the island, I want everyone that I'm in touch with to be guaranteed to be tested and not COVID-19 positive. If those two things are for sure, then I'm all in as a fighter.
Those are some huge points, especially the Mortal Kombat thing, because I think that's the biggest visual that our viewers will be able to think about. Because if you think back to that movie, they're fighters from all over the world, and they're meeting in one island, just like you said, and they fight it out. One of the biggest things that that California brought up was that after the fighters leave, they go back to the communities, and then from there, if they contracted something in California where they have a really high concentration of the COVID cases, going back to their home communities, what does that say about them being around their family over there? But you raise a great point about making sure that whoever is driving them, flying them to this remote area, that they're all protected. If they're wearing PPE and all that stuff, protective equipment. I think that the UFC really is onto something. So what do you guys think if the NBA were to do something like that?
I think it goes on the flip side of things. It's also kind of a message that they're sending of, I hate to say it, but like the privileged get the resources they need to keep doing and living their normal life, whereas average people, they still don't get tested even though they're asymptomatic. PPEs are being used for Uber drivers. I know it can be very limited, like only like 5 drivers for everyone that wear PPEs, but then it's like, well, that's 5 PPEs that could have gone to nurses, to doctors who desperately need them. So as much as I want sports to come back, it's kind of like, well, at what cost are we doing that when resources can be kind of given to somebody else?
I think that's a huge point as well. With the nation's shortage of PPE, I know I feel like the NBA was very divided as far as, do they go on, do they hold off? I mean, at what point do you really make the measures and the precautions to move forward? Because could this really be the end of sports as we know it? What are some possible solutions?
For me, myself, I don't think it makes sense for any other league to pursue this, I guess, island idea. For the UFC itself, I think if they can get it done, if they can figure out how to keep the fighters protected, and as Zarita said, maybe donate some PPEs and take care of the community as well, I think it would be a huge cash cow for them. People who aren't even average UFC fans will tune in just to see some live sports. Like myself, I don't watch UFC often, but if there's a live pay-per-view of, some fighters on an island, I'm buying that pay-per-view just to get my sports fix.
I think logistically too, like if other leagues were to do this, their teams are so much bigger than those who participate in UFC. Like I'm just thinking like a football team. How many people are on a football team to make sure that everyone's fully protected, fully tested? Basketball, it's not just the players and the coaches. The coaching staff alone has at least 5. Then they have their medical staff. So it's, as much as it's good for UFC, it's good because there are just not as many people involved. But then you also go into media. How does media go into this? So like, as much as we all want sports back, I don't know if it's logistically possible at this point.
I think what a lot of people have been saying is that, there's not really a time limit on what's going on. I think we're at the mercy of the virus, whether we like it or not. And so I think, to answer your question, Amin, about, sports over as we know it, I think instead of them dedicating their energies and trying to have it go on, I think they should be dedicating their energies making sure that this virus is gone for good. And that means, either dedicating more resources of PPE to, the various hospitals and other organizations, donating more money as far as the medical research goes, and also, doing their part in staying home and making sure that, they continue to just obey the orders coming from the governor. But I think the more they try to and find a solution in getting the sports to get going earlier than what they should be, I think the more division you're going to create in the world.
I mean, to mix all your points together, like if I'm Dana White, I'm gonna, like, what I would pitch to the government or all the governing bodies that are determining whether UFC gets this private island fight. I'm going to pitch that I'm going to guarantee a certain amount of the revenue that we pull from, all of these sales, which is going to be unprecedented because there's nothing else going on. As Zalti said, like the amount of viewers that you would have for this would probably be like 80-90% of American sports viewers. And so whatever crazy amount that is, you give a percentage of it to fight COVID-19, to fight the coronavirus, whether it be on PPEs or whether it be transportation of doctors and nurses from here to there. Like, if you combine that and you pitch that as a commissioner of UFC, that's a good sell to get sports back, one, and two, help in the fight of the virus. But I mean, that's with containing the virus itself, with all of these fighters and moving from here to there, right? I mean,
If the commissioners and owners collectively had agreed to something like that, you might have a great solution right there, Ken. I would stand behind that.
Just to throw a question to you guys, I know for Canada, basically our prime minister has said life's not going to go back to normal unless a vaccine is created. And I know some NBA executives have said, we're not going to have fans here until a vaccine is created. So how much do you think the fans being physically at these arenas, these different fields and things like that, play a factor into the whole experience? Because I remember when the NBA was still debating whether or not they should allow fans, it's like, well, what do we do with like the intros? Like, do we get as hype when we're introducing players? Like, are they going to have like the cheering sound effects? Like, how much do you think fans physically being there impact the experience?
I'm sure like you guys saw some of those UFC events. I think it was in Brazil, the last one. And it was just an empty stadium. And they still had the intros. They still, were coming out all hyped up. But it was the weirdest thing to see. It's they're performing for almost no one. And the WWE did the same thing, right? Like, they're all acting. They're playing to the crowd, and they're like yelling things into the microphone, and there's just no reaction because there's no one in there, and it's just a very odd scene.
Yeah, it is odd, but it kind of reminds me of when we were kids.
When they showed
when we would play sports in
WrestleMania. That was one of the craziest things I've seen, with zero fans, zero interaction. Where's the hype coming from? I would imagine that the NBA or any kind of sport without fans would probably put together some kind of video that they would show on TV for everybody to see.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the face of the NBA, LeBron James said he's not cool with. Well, he would prefer not to play without fans because fans are the entire experience, right? I mean, if the face of your organization is saying that he's not comfortable with it, I think that speaks something to the conversation. But I mean, at the same time too, like cash is king, right? Some NBA with no audience is better than no NBA.
Yeah, and I think to go back to no fans at all, and I think it kind of makes when we were little kids growing up. I mean, we did the same thing. We were like shooting hoops with like no one, pretending there's fans around, cheering us on and things like that. So I don't think it's an issue as far as getting hype and stuff. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it's always going to be money. I mean, it's going to be revenue because they're buying tickets and they're supporting the team. So.
Yeah, I'm digging real deep for this one when it comes to live sports. But there is a couple of soccer leagues still on. The Belarus Premier League is still on, but they're trying to limit their fans. So what they're doing is they're selling seats to fans, but the fans don't actually show up. They print out a cutout of their face and tape it to the seats to make it look like there's fans in the stands. I don't know. It's just the weirdest thing without fans in the seats. Yeah.
So we'll move on to our second topic. Speaking of the NBA, the rest of the season still has yet to be concluded. There's not a whole lot of closure, and LeBron James has voiced that out on social media. One of the scenarios that was brought up, that the league would just award the Los Angeles Lakers with the championship because of the best record in the league. Would that be a viable solution? I don't know if that will sit well with the rest of the league. I know some other fans of different teams have a different difference of opinion there. What are you guys' thoughts on that?
No. Hard no.
I'm the biggest homer possible. I've grown up following, the Lakers, Magic, Shaq, Kobe, now LeBron, and I gotta say that that wouldn't sit well with me either. I mean, up until season 8, I was one of the biggest Game of Thrones fans out there. So I know. So my thing is, you got to pay the iron price when it comes to anything, especially when it comes to a championship. Championship is earned, not given, and and technically, the Lakers actually don't have the best record. I mean, the Bucks do, even though they played 2 more games. And so, one, the Bucks have a better call for a championship, and 2, the Clippers actually have a better record against the Lakers right now at 2-1. And so, giving the Lakers a championship just because they're the Lakers, I wouldn't want it.
Yeah, I think.
But you wouldn't complain if you got it though, right?
Hey, I'll take the 17th championship. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, I just don't think that'll sit well with the rest of the fans or the league, especially like I'm a Raptors fan through and through, and I would love to say whoever the championship is right now is the reigning championship. But for a team like the Bucks, who just had so much hype going through the regular season, who were pretty much up there winning the title, it sucks. I'm sure the league has figured out a way to like legally crown someone, but to give it to the Lakers right off the bat, no.
Listen, if we're just handing out championships, the Knicks, we're struggling. Just give us something. It's just the city of New York. Just give us something.
Hey, you know what? With everything going on, it's kind of like a morale thing. Like, hey, just give it to New York with everything they're going through. Just give it to
I don't think there's any morale championships being given out here.
We'll take it. I'm not complaining.
Participation trophy.
What they can do is they can do a free throw contest. I know for sure the Lakers wouldn't win because LeBron would miss every free throw.
Oh, Bucks would lose too.
Oh,
Not
no.
free throws. So actually, the Raptors still win.
I think Kyle Lowry is up there, top 3 in the free throw ring.
Exactly. So I'm down for that free throw.
Yeah, he's pretty good.
Well, my thing is, like, I saw an interview earlier this week with Ernie Johnson interviewing the commissioner of the league, Adam Silver, right? And Adam Silver himself says, we don't know what's going to go on with all this coronavirus thing, how long this is going to be lasting for, but we're drawing up multiple scenarios. I mean, if I were to talk to Adam Silver, my suggestion would be, 1, shorten the rest of the regular season. There's like 15 games left. Turn it into like 5, maybe 7. It'll be like a preseason tuner, right? And then 2, shorten the playoffs. Like 15, 16 years ago, the playoffs for the first round were only up to best of 5 instead of best of 7. Do best of 5 for the first 3 rounds, and then the finals can be best of 7. And then that would be a shortened playoffs. And then so you would have at least a couple months of rest before going into the next season.
If we talk about the season itself, there's players that have the last leg of their contract ending this year. So how do you think the NBA is going to be able to handle giving, let's say, for example, I know Anthony Davis, he opted out of his contract, so he's a free agent next season. Are they going to keep him for just 2-3 months of the rest of the season coming up?
Well, I think the NFL is in the same situation, right? With free agency starting right in the middle of this pandemic, and I mean, some of these teams are hiring outside doctors to perform physicals. For instance, Todd Gurley traded to the Falcons. He hasn't even completed his physical yet, and he was traded last week just because there's no one to do it, right? Well, I'm sure there are people to do it. It's just a matter of logistics, actually getting him there to do the physical. And I think this would also transfer over to the NBA, making it difficult to either re-sign or trade players.
Right. It's like a huge wrench in the entire world right now.
And I think also, too, if we were to jump into the season again, the physical activity of the players right now is not going to be up to par because I think, one, I remember reading there's a lot of players that just don't have the equipment to even train themselves. I know, I was watching Serge Ibaka. He has, a box to do plyometrics and, medicine balls, but that's it. Whereas I know the Lakers equipped all their players with pretty much a home gym before all of this happened, so they have access to be training while they're off. But I know someone like Donovan Mitchell tweeted, I've been playing video games from 6 to 3 a.m. So it's like there's so much variation in how these players are treating this because, again, there's just no timeline for it.
Well, I think that's so why you would, if you're Adam Silver, you would definitely consider delaying the start of the next season if you need like a couple warm-up games or warm-up exhibition matches with, I don't know, with other countries or whatever before the start of the finish of this regular season / playoff / championship. But I mean, it's going to be a risk, but I think it's one of those things that like the players will be willing to finish either way, just because.
Would you shorten the next season as well, though? Because if you play the entire regular season and playoffs next year, it's just going to be constantly delayed year after year, right?
I think it'll be like
you probably have to extend the off season.
Yeah, either that, extend it, or be like the year that they had the lockout, where it was a shortened season, but it would be like two shortened seasons back to back.
Yeah, they would have to get back onto a regular schedule, if that would even be possible.
It would be like two 65-game seasons, something crazy like that.
We'll when we return, we'll talk about Tom Brady's projected success in Tampa Bay and expectations of The Last Dance, a Michael Jordan documentary. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back in a moment.
This program is co-presented by Kubert Industries Incorporated, Electromechanical Trading and Services, The Cooling Expert, Vita Herbs Philippines Green Coffee, Masarap, Mabango at Healthy Pa, Canwood Corporation, your ventilation and air conditioning specialist. In participation with Rain or Shine Elastomeric Waterproofing Paint, color for protection for your home. Matimco. Matimco is wood. Wood is Matimco. Our Square Variables Incorporated, your trusted UPS supplier and UPS maintenance provider in Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. CompuZell Computer Services, ID card and lanyard manufacturer. DN Steel. EMAC, UPVC Roof Corporation.
Net 25 available in the Middle East on OSN.
This program is co-presented by Kubert Industries Incorporated, Electromechanical Trading and Services, The Cooling Expert, Vita Herbs Philippines Green Coffee, Masarap, Mabango at Healthy Pa, Canwood Corporation, your ventilation and air conditioning specialist. In participation with Rain or Shine Elastomeric Waterproofing Paint, color for protection for your home. Matimco. Matimco is wood. Wood is Matimco. Our Square Variables Incorporated, your trusted UPS supplier and UPS maintenance provider in Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. CompuZell Computer Services, ID card and lanyard manufacturer. DN Steel. EMAC, UPVC Roof Corporation.
Welcome back to EBC Sports International. I'm Aljamain Santos, broadcasting from Las Vegas, Nevada. Thanks for staying with us. Before the break, a bunch of us had been talking about Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert's relationship. The two seem to be having a little bit of a negative interaction lately, and it seems like the relationship is on the rocks. What are your thoughts about that, Zarita?
I felt really bad for Rudy Gobert because he was kind of like the scapegoat for everything, just because of how his actions prior to him actually testing positive was documented, him touching all the mics, then all the players coming out saying that he was careless during while in the locker room, touching everybody's stuff. But with something like this, you just don't know who patient zero is. And for all we know, it could have been Donovan Mitchell who gave it to Rudy Gobert because he was asymptomatic. So I feel like there's a little bit of a witch hunt for Rudy Gobert, which I think was a little uncalled for.
I think a lot of us were like the entire nation was like unaware of the depth of seriousness COVID-19 was at that time. And so, Rudy Gobert, including so many different Americans, had that, were kind of like downplaying how crazy this would be. No one was talking quarantine. No one was talking about how, the NBA was going to be canceled or postponed, that kind of thing. And so at that time, it was just like, this guy just like spread his germs and now everyone's going to get it. It's kind of reminded me of like how, it was like before my time, but like how Magic Johnson had the whole AIDS thing. And so where like players didn't want to play with him, they were outspoken about it. But this one was kind of like in the beginning stages of COVID-19, the coronavirus. And so for him to get all that hate, I think it was a little too early and a little too much, especially from his own teammate, who, he may not have received it from, right?
Whether or not, obviously he didn't know he had it, right? And no one knew he had it at that time when he's, touching all the mics and touching all everyone's stuff. But whether I'm sick or not, I don't want Mike coming into the locker room and, touching my water bottle and stuff like that, right? Like that's just, it's uncalled for. So yeah, it may be a bit of a witch hunt, but I don't want to play with someone like that, right? Like who's not respecting boundaries, right?
Right. And I think there's speculation about the relationship of Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert prior to this COVID-19. There's speculation about the two not being able to play well with each other. There's even talks about the Lakers wanting Donovan to go to the Lakers because of that. But I don't know. I think that it's really unfair to treat Rudy that way because there's really no way of knowing.
Yeah.
The whole country didn't know.
Do you guys remember like that exact night? Because I feel like that will forever be ingrained in my head of watching it in real time through, I don't know about you guys, but I was following it through Twitter. First it was Rudy Gobert is not feeling well. So the whole Twitter world was trolling, haha, what if he had COVID? And then it was like, all of a sudden their game was postponed, but the announcer was like, don't worry, everyone's safe. And as soon as you say that, it's kind of like panic sets in. So you guys, like, where were you guys when it all happened?
I was watching it. I was watching on ESPN actually, and same for you. I was following on social media, and I just remember just how kind of for me, I was a little like I kind of had like goosebumps because I was like, man, I've never seen anything like this where there's two teams
crazy
on the court, and it's like all of a sudden the refs are just like, well, it's game's off, and they just run off the court and they make the announcement that the game has been postponed, and everybody's booing because they don't really know the severity of the illness. And it's kind of like, man, it was just unreal. It was so surreal.
We were chatting back and forth about this.
Oh, we were,
thing.
yeah, we were. Yeah.
And I was watching that game, and when they postponed that, they put on the Kings and the Pelicans.
Exactly.
And then that's when they called the whole thing off. I was like, what? This is really happening right now.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, I think you got to give Adam Silver some credit for being able to just say, like, hey, we're gonna cut this. I mean, you know, the fans, like, mid game obviously aren't gonna be happy, but I mean, like, it'll be one thing to, like, let the game continue, and then, like, everyone in that stadium contracts, like, coronavirus, right? And then how much worse would that have been? And then another thing, I mean, I know it's kind of off track, but I mean, like, can we just say how crazy this NBA season has been, as far as it's like
It's historical.
In NCR and other regions ay masasatisfy na natin ang implementasyon ng ating estratehiya, detect, isolate, and treat the patient. Nagsisimula na ang Quezon City, ang Valenzuela at susunod na rin ang Manila. Ang private sector ay tumutulong na rin para maisagawa ang large-scale focus testing sa ating mga priority areas. Dapat talagang i-localize po natin ang ating pakikipaglaban sa COVID-19 at kailangan po natin ang leadership at strategic focus ng mga LGUs to execute testing and contact tracing aggressively. Hindi tayo makakaahon sa enhanced community hanggat hindi tayo magkakaroon ng targeted testing. Una, matatapos natin ang NCR na yung more than 6,000 to 10,000 suspected COVID carriers. Kasama po ang ating targeted testing areas, ang ating mga frontliners. Malaki po ang naitulong na Luzon-wide enhanced community quarantine upang makontrol natin at pagkalat ng COVID-19. Pinatotohanan po ito mismo ng World Health Organization ng Western Pacific Regional Director Dr. Takeshi Kasai. Sinasabi ni Dr. Kasai na hindi nagkamali ang pamahalaan sa pagpapatupad ng ECQ. Kanyang idiniin na kinakailangang masuppress natin ang paglaganap ng sakit. Kaya po napakahalaga ng suporta ng taong bayan dito sa ating ECQ or lockdown. Kaya po, inuulit po natin, please stay at home. Pinaalaalanan po natin ang publiko na suportahan ang ating medical frontliners. Sila ang haligi ng ating kalusugan. I am so calling to the people to treat fairly, with compassion, all COVID patients. Huwag po natin silang i-discriminate at huwag na po natin silang bigyan ng kanilang tatawag na emotional distress. Bagkus, ipagdasal po natin ang kanilang agarang paggaling. Dahil walang pinipili po ang virus, mahirap man o mayaman. In order to protect our frontliners, as of April 10, nakapamahagi na po tayo ng more than 66,000 personal protective equipment o PPEs sa mga pampubliko at pribadong ospital sa buong bansa. Bahagi ito ng ating layunin na protektahan ang ating medical frontliners. Pinasasalamatan din po natin ang local government units at saka executives na nagsusulong ng best practices upang labanan ang COVID-19. Gusto natin pong pangalagahan sila na nagiging silbing ehemplo ang mga LGUs ng Manila, Valenzuela, Marikina, Pasig, Baguio, Davao, Caraga at Bicol Region na kung saan ay mahigpit ngunit maayos nilang naipatupad ang ECQ. Kaya naman, hinihikayat namin ang mga LGUs na mga nabanggit na tularan ang kanilang mga examples. Pag-aralan na maigi ng IATF ang rates and trends ng COVID-19 sa kasalukuyan sa ating buong bansa. Pero dapat ang mga LGUs, ang mga namumuno nito, ang dapat manguna para ma-flatten natin ang curve sa kanilang mga lugar at bayan. Kaya dapat i-localize po natin ang paglaban sa COVID-19. Yung datos at threshold na po ay magiging basihan upang maiwasan natin malaganap ang tinatawag nating second wave or pagtaas na naman ng new cases at saka cases ng death. Let us not waste our efforts and gains that we achieved during the past 3 under ECQ. Maaari po magkaroon ng selective quarantine kung magiging maayos po ang ating pagsunod sa ECQ. Magagawa natin ito kapag nagkaroon po tayo ng massive testing sa suspected cases na tumataas na recovery rate ng mga pasyente. Bumaba ang number of deaths at new cases at tumaas ang capacity ng ating mga local health units. Sa level na kaya na ng ating health workers na mag-react ng normal na hindi parang crisis. Patuloy po nating pinaigting ang ECQ ng buong Pilipinas. Kaya po as of April 11 ay mayroon na po tayong 4,467 quarantine control points sa buong bansa. Umaabot sa 60,979 personnel galing sa PNP, AFP, BFP at Philippine Coast Guard ang nagbabantay sa mga checkpoints na ito. Nagbibigay ng direktiba si Secretary Lorenzana na lalong higpitan ang papapatupad ng mga checkpoints at ng ECQ sa Metro Manila dahil sa nakaraang pagsuway sa ating mga implementasyon ng lockdown. Nakikipag-ugnayan din po kami sa MMDA para palakasin pa ang checkpoints na ito para ma-implement ng maayos ang ating social distancing, ang ating wearing of mask at saka yung ECQ. Sinisiguro po natin ang tuloy-tuloy na pagdating ng pagkain at medical supplies sa buong Pilipinas. This is to ensure food security and price stability of goods. Susi sa tagumpay ang pagkakaisa at kooperasyon ng bawat mamamayan. Kaya ang lahat po ay pinag-usapan na sumunod, nakipagpagtulungan sa pamahalaan. Stay at home. Kung hindi, ay masasayang lamang ang lahat ng ating pinaghirapan itong mga nakaraang linggo. Unti-unti na po nating naramdaman ang epekto ng ating hakbang upang pigilan ang pagkalat ng COVID-19. Isa dito ang pagbagal ng transmisyon ng COVID-19. Kung hindi natin naisagawa ang ECQ, maaaring umabot tayo na higit na 140,000 to 550,000 cases mula Abril hanggang Hunyo ayon sa pag-aaral ng mga expert natin sa UP at sa international community. Pero huwag po tayo magpabaya. Sumunod po tayo. Sumunod po tayo sa lockdown at curfew. Katulad po ng pag-ulit-ulit na paalala ng ating mahal na Pangulo, iwasan na po nating lumabas ng bahay kung hindi kinakailangan. Ito ang pinaka-epektibong paraan upang mahinto ang pagkalat ng sakit sa ating komunidad. Patuloy din po nating sundin ang social distancing at panatilihin ang kalinisan ng ating mga katawan at ang ating mga tahanan. Ugaliin ang wastong paghugas ng kamay at palagi ang pagsuot ng face mask. Iwasan na din po natin ang mass gatherings or yung tinatawag na pagkukumpul-kumpulan. Mga kababayan, bawal muna ang inuman at barkadahan. Kaya tayo po ay magsama-sama at magtulungan at malalampasan po natin ang krisis na ito. Maraming salamat po sa inyong patuloy na pagsuporta sa pamahalaan. Together, we shall win this battle and heal as one. Magandang gabi po muli sa inyong lahat. Again, Happy Easter. Ang Easter po means love. Kaya po tayo ay magmahalan sa isa't isa. Love will conquer all, even COVID.
You also have to take into account it's not just Brady, right? It's a 53-man roster. They have the 28th ranked passing defense. You got to play Teddy Bridgewater, you got to play Matt Ryan, and you got to play Drew Brees twice. That's 6 games.
Yeah.
Well, they got
just to even win that division.
They don't have the best defense either, so it's gonna be open. It's gonna be open everywhere.
It is, but look at Tom Brady historically. He's not a Patrick Mahomes. He's not gonna outscore you, right? He's always had a good defense to help him out, right? They don't have a good defense in Tampa. I'll take any of the 3 other defenses in that division over Tampa's defense.
Well, their defensive line was number 1 stopping the run. That's
okay,
key.
defensive line. I'll give you defensive line.
These days, stopping the run is key.
but you got gunslingers like the three I just mentioned, and you have the 28th ranked pass defense, you're going to get outscored every time.
Well, do you guys think Tom Brady being in the with the Tampa Bay Bucks, do you think he's going to be attracting future talent to come to Tampa?
Well, I don't know if he has much future. It's kind of like the LeBron James thing, where it has to be right now. I mean, LeBron has a better like he's more sprightly on his feet than Tom Brady is right now. Like Tom Brady is like what Peyton Manning was in his last run with Denver.
Don't say that, because they won the Super Bowl. Don't say that.
But that's the thing. But then
They won the Super Bowl 2 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. But the thing with
Six
Manning
total
is that he had a great running game, and so he didn't have to throw that much. And so that's where I think this is a huge possibility that they will sink, because he will be relied upon too much during the regular season.
So they were 7-9 last year with Jameis Winston having almost 40 turnovers total. So you're saying that they're going to be 7-9 again, or what do you guys think?
Well, it's not the fact that they're going to be 7-9. I think they're going to be there. I'm guessing they'll win at least 11 games. My thing is that how healthy is Tom Brady going to be in the playoffs? If you have a banged up quarterback, especially at his age, you're not going to go anywhere.
Well, one, when has he ever been banged up? And two, I mean, everybody's banged up going into the playoffs. It's football. It's NFL.
100%. But, I mean, like, you're in a different team. It's not as if you have Belichick, scheming for you. You have an entire new team, which means
familiarity there.
There's going to be all it takes is one miscommunication, and, you get a nasty sack on them, and, you're out.
Well, that could be for anybody, but this is exciting because it kind of reminds you of when Joe Montana was it's kind of a little bit before my time, but when he was with the 49ers and he went to the Chiefs and they actually made the AFC Championship that next year. So, I mean, anything's possible. I think he has a great coaching staff that's around him, Bruce Arians and Tom Moore. I mean, that's just incredible. Todd Bowles, who is the former head coach of the New York Jets, is their defensive coordinator. So, I mean, they have a really good coaching staff surrounding them. Is it the New England Patriots? No, it's not going to be that cultured. But as far as people that know the game and are intelligent and that they'll put them in the best spots to succeed, I mean, I think those are the perfect guys for that.
You also have to remember, the mini camps and the preseason camps, they're probably not going to start on time, right? So if the season even goes starts on time, there's not going to be the familiarity there with Tom Brady and his offensive line. That offensive line spent all last year chasing defenders around because Jameis Winston was all over the place. He's just a reckless quarterback, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, just them having to block for a brand new quarterback and there's no familiarity. I know I've said that word 100 times, but that's what it's going to come down to. They are not familiar with Tom Brady.
And the Bucs won their games based on pure volume throws, right? And that's something that they will need again to win because of how bad their pass defense is. And so in order for them to win these games, Brady has to throw a lot. And I don't know if he has enough in the tank to throw that much for the entirety of a season, especially a potentially shortened off season with everything that's going on with COVID-19.
Well, like I said, he's a check down quarterback. So if he can check it down 40 times a game and they can gain 15, 20 yards each time, sure, great. Is that a possibility with their backfield? No, definitely not. He's going to have to rely on his Pro Bowl receivers and his tight ends, and they're not going to be happy running 5-yard routes, 10-yard routes. That's not what they do.
I know Tom Brady is he's wanting this challenge. He's voiced out that he wants this challenge, and he's up for it. And I think he's primed himself to really prove himself to everybody and to the league and to his former team that he can still do it.
Absolutely.
So we'll move on to the next topic. The decision to release The Last Dance, the 10-part Michael Jordan documentary, is scheduled to release April 10th, much sooner than originally planned. What are you looking to expect from arguably one of the greatest basketball players in the league? What do you think? What are your thoughts about that, Ken?
Well, I mean, I actually grew up, I was born in the Philippines and then grew up in Australia also. So I didn't move to the United States until I was 10 in '98, which means that I missed a big chunk of Jordan's Bulls career growing up. And so this this opportunity with, I read 10,000 hours of footage, 10,000 hours of footage, 10 episodes, squeezed in over 100 interviews, squeezed into 8.5 hours. I mean, I'm looking forward to it. I've seen some of the previews, and like seeing high definition Jordan do his signature fadeaway is something I am more than looking forward to, especially since I am tired of watching ping pong on ESPN. I need something better. I need something of higher quality. That and being in DC now, I mean, it's going to be a hot topic for us over here, especially the fact that he played his final years with the Wiz, and it's going to be something that I think is going to have a lot of chatter in all social media forms, especially not just in Chicago but here in DC.
Well, to piggyback on that, I was kind of the opposite. I grew up here in the States, and huge Jordan fan, posters on the walls and everything. And so I remember vividly that season watching it when the NBA used to be on NBC. It seemed like every Sunday these guys were on. And, this team has the attitude, they had the physicality, they had the intelligence, they had the spunk, they had the charisma, they had it all. They were must-see TV every single night. And mark my words, there's great basketball documentaries out there like Hoop Dreams and things like that. But this is going to be hands down the greatest documentary ever created.
Better than Space Jam?
Well, I mean,
Space Jam documentary?
nothing could beat that. I mean, that's one of the best documentaries.
Hey, Bugs Bunny has a nasty crossover.
Yeah,
Definitely.
Jordan also has a 20-foot arm too,
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
And I think what's great about this is that there's a lot of people that did not grow up in the Jordan generation, so they're really going to see how he was as a leader and as a player. So I'm really excited to see that dynamic, because I think we all got a little piece of Jordan's human side when he made that speech at Kobe's not funeral, but ceremony.
Memorial service. Yeah.
We really saw how humanized he was, and so it's gonna be really cool to just see him, how he is, like talking to his teammates, how they game plan and things like that. So that's
real quick. Don't get me wrong. Australia, we only had 2 teams really popular at that time when I was a kid, because we were subject to just watching VHS. Nothing was really live in Australia. It was either the Lakers or the Bulls. So I was fans of both. I got to find a picture, but there's a picture. Me and my brother had matching Bulls leather aviator jackets, and it's something that I prize wearing every time I could until I outgrew it. So fond memories of watching Jordan on videotape. I wish I could watch him live, and so I'm looking forward to this.
Tell you what, I grew up in that era that Mike was talking about, where I was too young to watch Jordan live. So over the past probably week or so since they announced it was going to be released, I've been watching some Jordan clips on YouTube, including I think they have a video of the last 3 minutes of the '98 finals, which is a great clip. And before we move on to someone else talking about this, let me just say that I believe Jordan could come back and start on an NBA team today more than Tom Brady is going to be successful in Tampa.
Okay, I'm a huge Tom Brady fan, but I'll give you that. Yeah, Jordan would average at least 20 a game right now, easy.
There are videos of him taking challenges from the young rookies and things like that, even long after he's retired, and he still has the jump shot, man. It's undeniable.
I am devastated he's not on the horse challenge for this NBA. That would
the NBA definitely needs to think about that.
Like Zolti was saying, I'm also part of that generation that never got to witness Michael Jordan, but I think it'll be really good for anyone who came post Michael Jordan, to see where all this culture comes from. Like, we see the Jordan brand is huge, the sneakerheads, like there's a whole subculture that came from Michael Jordan. And I think just the way that we're going to see things that were never seen before in terms of covering the team behind the scenes, I think will be huge, because then they couldn't report on that team the way media reports on teams now. So we don't know the true dynamics of that team. So I think it'll be interesting just to see how that team really operated.
Well, I guess I'm a lot older than all of y'all, but I remember watching Michael Jordan play. I remember that finals, that Eastern Conference Finals against Reggie Miller and the Indiana Pacers.
Man. That
was one of the craziest series I've ever seen him play.
Amazing. That was
just
like,
watching the two go at it. Oh man. And back then the NBA was a lot more physical than it is now.
Way more.
They would let the players get away with elbows, choking, stepping over people, you name it. It was happening.
I think it's going to surprise a lot
that
of
series
people.
was so fierce.
Yeah, like a flagrant foul today was like a normal foul back in those days.
Yeah.
Even called.
I mean,
even if it was
to
called,
right?
yes,
I mean,
exactly.
Yeah.
Look at Bill Lambier's fouls on Michael Jordan back in the day.
Oh gosh, yeah.
That was
I'll talk to Bill the next time I see him at the Las Vegas Aces.
Yeah,
I remember. You remember watching those? Did you watch the documentary? You remember those fouls?
Oh yeah, that was like uncalled for, and those were just like, oh, it's all right, no call, non-call.
Oh yeah.
But but Amin, to go back to the Eastern Conference Finals, I think it was cool to see when Game 6, when the Bulls lost and Jordan guaranteed to win Game 7 and they won. So that just goes to show the whole mystique around Jordan, just how clutch and how masterful the player is.
I think just to add to Mike's thing, just the whole mystique of Michael Jordan alone, like, he is a very private person. So for us to be able to get a glimpse of what he's like off the court, I think it will bring in a lot of people.
Yeah, I think the documentary is going to be great, everybody. We're all looking forward to that. That's all that we have for this week's edition of EBC Sports International. Thank you for joining us. I want to thank our correspondents from the different areas all over the world to join us today. Be sure to tune in next week. Make sure you visit our websites at eaglenews.net and eaglenewslive.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/eaglenewsph. Share your thoughts and comment. We'd love to hear from it. Thanks for watching. I'm Aljamain Santos. We live in interesting times.
Coming from different walks of life, what gesture can we all do that speaks the same language and triggers positive emotions? That's right, we can smile. As behavioral psychologists say, smiling elevates your mood and creates a sense of well-being. Even a forced smile can shift your mood. Joy is often the source of a smile, but sometimes a smile can be the source of joy, or at least remind us to find it. So when you're feeling down, just remember, altering your behavior by smiling can improve your actual feelings. Shoulders Pearly writes, because your smile can help fuel your body and mind to hurdle over life's troubles and run the extra mile. Plus, it can always brighten someone's day to simply see you smiling, and in these times, we really need all of the positivity we can share with each other. Stay tuned on EBC Digital Nest as we connect, learn, and share, because together we grow. I'm Frenzel Feheran. We live in interesting times.
Thank you for watching this video. I hope you guys like it. Make sure to give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe here at EBC Digital Nest so you don't miss any of our upcoming features.
Ano bang pinagkakabalan ng marami sa atin ngayon habang nasa ilalim tayo ng Enhanced Community Quarantine?
Social media? Kain?
Movie marathon?
Pwede rin work from home.
At marami pang iba.
Pero gusto nyo bang maiba?
Bakit hindi niyo subukan na gumawa ng pelikula?
Sali na sa EBC Films Kwentong Quarantine.
Mag-isip ng kwento na may kinalaman sa pakikipagbaka natin laban sa COVID-19.
Ready, 3, 2, 1, action!
Mga kwento na magbibigay ng impormasyon, inspirasyon, o kaya naman magbibigay aliw sa ating mga kababayan.
Iwasan natin ang mga kwento na may kinalaman sa politika.
Ang short film ay dapat may habang 1 hanggang 2 minuto lamang.
Gamit ang inyong phone camera, i-shoot ang short film sa inyong bahay o bakuran.
Maaari niyong gawing cast ang inyong mga housemates at family members.
Kung gagamit naman ng background music, tiyakin na ito ay royalty-free.
Pagkatapos mabuo ang short film, ay isend ito through Telegram or Google Drive.
Ang mga mapipiling short film ay ipopost sa EBC Films official page.
At ang best short film ay mananalo lang 5,000 pesos.
At 3,000 pesos naman para sa second best short film.
At 2,000 pesos para sa third best film.
Stay at home.
Shoot the film
And win a prize.
For inquiries, message us at facebook.com/EBC Films.
EBC Films, Kwentong Quarantine,
Short Film sa Bahay Challenge.
I'm so bored. Yeah, me too. How about Netflix and snacks? Great idea. Come on, but we have to clean up our toys first. Clean up. I am Jermaine. And I'm Jamie. Come join us as we make snacks. Yes, let's go. First, we have to wash our hands. Put the cooking cap on. Wear the apron. I'm so excited to make palatao. Do you know what palatao is? Palatao is made of glutinous rice flour, roasted sesame seeds, and sugar. For this, we use 3 tablespoons each. Grated coconut, half cup of water, or you could use a little bit more. We will also need a mixing bowl. Now pour in glutinous rice flour. Now we pour in the water. Now let's mix it. Let's mix some dough. Now let's divide the dough in small pieces. Now let's make a ball-shaped figure. Let's flatten it. I have to wash my hands after this. Yeah, the hands too. This is so much fun. Yeah. This boiling water and a cooking pot. Ask for Mom's help. Let's put in the flattened dough. When the flattened dough starts to float, remove them from the pot. And set aside, allowing water to drip. Roll the rice cake and the grated coconut. Cover the rice cake with roasted sesame seeds and sugar. It's time to eat! Yummy palatao! I am Jermaine. And I'm Jamie! We live in interesting times!
Thank you for watching this video. I hope you guys like it. And make sure to give it a thumbs up. And don't forget to subscribe here at EBC Digital Nest so you don't miss any of our upcoming features.